Hey y'all, I'm back with a DIY embellishments video, and in this video I'm going to share with you how I create some pocket page cards, whether they're filler cards or just some like embellished cards or some cards that you can use as a background. First, I'm going to share with you some examples of some Project Life cards in my stash that I really love. I love the tone-on-tone look. I love like the simplicity of like light blues and pinks, and then also the kind of faux washi look as well. I'm sharing with you some stamps that I pulled. Again, a couple of tips that I have are not pulling too many things from your stash, looking at your Project Life cards that you really like, that you reach for a lot, and trying to kind of recreate those, and then just grabbing some solid paper and just starting there. So I have I'm just getting like a few different colors of solid paper. I'm sharing with you some stickers that I'm going to be using. Those are clear stickers, and I'll talk a little bit more about those in a minute. And then some pattern paper that I picked out that look kind of like cut apart, so you could use them as embellishments, and I'll share with you what I do with those coming up here. The first thing I'm going to do is, or one of the first things I'm going to do in the process is grab some of the solid cardstock, and I'm using Craft. I'm using kind of a lighter pink, a lighter aqua bluish mint color, and then I'm going to use some white cardstock. And the reason I chose these colors is because this is really what I reach for most frequently, and so you guys just kind of pick out the colors that you like to use more frequently. But I'm going to cut them to Project Life card size, so I'm just going to do 3x4 and 4x6. If you use a different type of system, just use whatever size that you use more often. So I'm going to continue doing that, and then I'm going to start by embellishing some of the filler cards. So one way to create your own patterns or your own cards that are customized is to just grab some scrap paper out of your stash and grab a solid color or a solid card, whether that's the craft or the white or pink or blue or whatever, and use a couple of different patterns and sew them right onto it. So I'm going to share with you how I do that. Stay tuned for I'm not going to share with you the sewing, but I am going to show you how I kind of put that together, and then at the very end you'll see the sewing and how it kind of turns out. I don't know about you, but sewing for me is sewing on top of paper or on embellishments makes such a big difference for like a finished look. And so you'll see how some of these just look so much better towards the end after they've been sewn. And I actually use a zigzag stitch, so I'll share with you how that turns out later. So right now I'm just cutting up a few different pieces of, I would say, cut aparts or just some little icons. And I'm testing out some options here, and you'll see that I'm just kind of playing around with it. I didn't have all of this figured out beforehand. You're kind of walking through the actual process with me. So right now I'm deciding on what other pattern I want to add to that leaf pattern there that I have sitting on the left-hand side. And I decided I wanted to go with the yellow geometric pattern, and then also that leafy pattern. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to kind of measure out, so I have the triangular piece, and then I want to put that other piece right on top, but I don't want to layer it on over each other, if that makes sense. I want it all to be even, and so that's how I just kind of quickly measured it, was just taking the other piece and laying it on top and then cutting it across. So I'm going to add that right to the card, and then I'll stitch it later, and you'll see how that turns out. And this is probably one of my favorite cards out of all of them. I don't know if it's just because I like kind of that pattern look, and it's just kind of simple, and it was super easy to put together. The next one I'm going to do is more of just an embellished card, and I'm just going to cut out one of the pieces that says Explore. They look kind of like little flashcards in a way. I'm not really sure, like I can't think of, they're like journal type cards, but I cannot think of the word for those. But anyway, I'm going to add the other triangular piece there at the bottom because I already had that cut, and then I'm going to layer that Explore piece right on top, and then I will stitch on that later. I thought about putting a paper clip, but I decided not to do that. I'm going to set that to the side, and you'll see those stitched a little bit later. Next, I'm going to grab some washi and that icon that says Beach Day, and I'm going to start, this is going to be super simple, just a filler card here. And the reason I've chosen some of these patterns is because we are planning to go to the beach here in a few weeks, and so I think this would be perfect for a little album. And plus, I didn't finish my beach photos from last year, so I really need to do that. So just quickly adding that beach day icon towards the left bottom side, if that makes sense. And then I just added the washi right on top, and I'm going to stitch on that later. So I printed these. I really love clear stickers, and there's a million reasons why, but one of the reasons why I love clear stickers, and when I say clear, it's like the full sheet it's like an 8.5 by 11 sheet of, I guess they call it like label paper, but it's really just one big clear sticker, if that makes sense. And you can print right onto them from your normal printer and cut them out, and you'd never see, like, you don't have to use your cutting machine for it. And it's kind of like a lazy way of using these stickers, and they're really fun in Bible journaling or doing what I'm doing here, which is like adding them to Project Life cards or to your planner. They're perfect. There's so many different ways. You could put them on a background on a 12 by 12 layout. Like, you could use these this entire floral sheet, and you can print as many as you want because you're printing them from home. So I found these from the Reset Girl shop, and I'll link that down below. And I just love the designs. They're so pretty. And what I did was I simply just added one little floral sticker to the top, and then I added a label right over it. And I'm just going to use my tiny attacher to staple. And there you go. You have just like a simple little filler card. And you can add some journaling to the bottom of that if you wanted, or you could leave it as is. I'm going to do kind of a similar design with this next one. I'm going to use white. I think that these stickers look great on white backgrounds, and so that's what I would recommend, just because on some colors you can kind of see the sticker part. I don't know if that makes sense, but I'm going to add these cute little banners, and that'll be it for this one too. And you'll just see how simple this was to put together. I just used my scissors, and then I just took the backing off of it, and then I just stuck it right onto the cardstock. For this next one, I'm just going to grab a pattern, a background pattern, and I'm just going to simply stamp a tone-on-tone look. You saw at the very beginning I shared some cards that I really like, and one of the things I love is just the simplicity of tone-on-tone. So I just grabbed a pink piece of cardstock and a background stamp that, I say background stamp, they're really just like embellishing type stamps, but I use them a lot for backgrounds or to add some interest. These are clusters of stars, and they're by Feed Your Craft, and I'll just link the shop down below. And I'm just simply going to stamp all over the card, and you'll see a closer look at the very end, but I just love how simple and quick that was, and it just adds a little something extra. And again, it's like customized, so you can use whatever pattern you like. The next one I'm going to use is just kind of a little sketchy looking pattern, and I'm just going to simply stamp all over that card using same kind of technique. I found an aqua blue, and I just stamped right on top of that blue cardstock. And then next up, I'm going to grab a couple of different, first I think I'm going to switch out that white cardstock for the craft. There you go. And I'm going to grab my VersaFine ink, which is my favorite black ink, and I'm going to simply stamp right on top of the top of that card. And sometimes just quickly using this one stamp for kind of a journaling piece, or you can add a picture of, like I used coffee time, so you can add a picture of your coffee, which most of us take pictures of that anyway, and then you're done at that point, especially if you really like simple project life. Next, I'm going to grab a couple of, I call them like tiny text phrases, but in a stamp form. I use a lot of tiny text stickers, and so I love the look of just stamping all over the background of a card. One thing I've also noticed about myself is I grab black and white a lot. I love neutral colors, and so of course I love color in general, but I love grabbing black and white in Project Life, especially when you have a lot of colors going on. It kind of breaks it up a little bit. And so I just grabbed a few different phrases and stamped all over. And you'll notice none of these are perfect. They're not lined perfectly or anything like that, but that's why I like it. So I'm going to continue on with that. And then next up, I am going to share with you how you can kind of just layer some fun. You can just make an embellishment type filler Project Life card. I know that's like a mouthful, but basically you just grab a little paper clip, you grab some fun embellishments that you probably rarely use or they've been in your stash for a long time and you don't mind covering up and layering, and then simply add as much as you can under that paper clip and then just stitch right on top or use your tiny attacher right on top, and then it's kind of just a fun little element to add inside of your Project Life album. The reason I kind of thought of this was because there's a lot of things that have been in my stash for a long time that I don't hardly ever use, and I think it's a fun way to just layer up. You can do the same thing on a 12x12 layout as well, or any sort of layout. I'm sharing with you the finished product. I love the way these came out. I can't wait to actually make more, and I can't wait to see how you guys come up with your own as well. If you do, I'm going to post a picture of the final product on Instagram, and I want to see y'all's as well, so just tag me in yours, in your projects too. We'll talk to you guys soon. Have a good day. Bye.